Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Yongbin Dai from Beihang University. I am honored to present our latest research titled, What Makes a Virtual Celebrity Agent Trustworthy in VR? Exploring the Role of Stylization and Voice. This is a collaborative effort with colleagues from Beijing University of Posts and Telecommunications, Tsinghua University, Universitat Hamburg, and Migu Company Limited. In this presentation, I will walk you through our investigation into how these factors shape perceptions of realism, familiarity, and ultimately trust in virtual celebrity agents. Let's start with some context. With the rise of the metaverse, celebrities have begun creating virtual agents that inherit real-world influence and leverage parasocial relationships, making them highly effective for commercial endorsements. For instance, the K-pop group Blackpink collaborated with PUBG Mobile to release official virtual avatars and host virtual concerts within the game, achieving tremendous success. In scientific research, a recent study used the image of Hollywood actor Tom Cruise to enhance user familiarity. Compared to stranger avatars, this significantly increased users' purchase intentions in product recommendation scenarios, further validating the effectiveness of virtual celebrity endorsements. However, little is known about how their visual and vocal characteristics affect user perception, especially in the context of VR. Moreover, recent advances in generative AI have enabled efficient production of virtual humans. For example, 3D-Toonify can create high-fidelity 3D stylized avatars from 2D portrait images. Meanwhile, voice cloning technologies such as GPT-Sovets can replicate any speaker's voice with just a few samples, achieving much higher quality than traditional text-to-speech systems. These technologies make it easier than ever to create virtual celebrity agents. But they also raise important questions. Do users actually trust these AI-generated agents? And how do different combinations of visual style and voice affect this trust? Under the computers are social actors paradigm, trust in virtual agents or avatars essentially reflects interpersonal trust. Recent research suggests that visual style alone does not impact user trust in doctor avatars. However, a newer study incorporating voice quality reveals a different story. Style does significantly influence trust, and pairing an authentic voice with a realistic style markedly boosts user trust. However, these studies focused on generic agents, not celebrity agents. Celebrity agents are unique because users already have established parasocial relation. This raises another question. How do style and voice affect trust specifically in celebrity agents? Thus, we selected Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory as a representative celebrity and created multiple virtual agents with varying visual styles and voice types for a user study. We focus on the following key research questions. 1. How do the style and voice of a virtual celebrity agent affect user trust? 2. Which style-voice combinations best match and how do they compare to real video? 3. How does interpersonal distance correlate with trust in celebrity agents? We designed a 3x2 within subjects experiment, employing an authentic video as the baseline. The independent variables are style and voice. This figure illustrates all visual styles of Sheldon used in the experiment. The baseline video was selected from The Big Bang Theory, featuring Sheldon's welcome speech. Based on this clip, we created Sheldon's virtual agents with varying visual styles and voice types. The hand-sculpted agent was modeled manually by experts from reference images. The AI-reconstructed agent was created via our custom stylization pipeline. The non-stylized agent was a preset from Unreal Engine's MetaHuman. Moving on to the auditory dimension, the baseline audio is extracted directly from the baseline video. The cloned voice was synthesized using our fine-tuned GPT-Sovets model. Finally, the synthetic voice was generated using Azure TTS, specifically leveraging the Mile voice profile.
And I'd already achieved more than most of you could ever hope to, despite my 9 o'clock bedtime.
And I'd already achieved more than most of you could hope to, despite my 9 o'clock bedtime.
And I'd already achieved more than most of you could hope to, despite my 9 o'clock bedtime.
Our custom pipeline for creating and animating the AI-reconstructed stylized Sheldon agent is as follows. First, we extracted a high-quality keyframe from the baseline Sheldon video and applied the hierarchical representation network to reconstruct the corresponding high-fidelity facial mesh. This mesh was then retargeted and integrated into a meta-human-based agent within Unreal Engine 5.4. To handle lip synchronization and facial expressions, we utilized NVIDIA Audio 2Face to generate precise facial blend shapes. Finally, these generated blend shapes were used to drive the Sheldon agent's animations in real time. Importantly, this same method was applied consistently to generate lip sync and facial animations for all Sheldon agents. We measured trust using the multidimensional measure of trust questionnaire, assessing 4 dimensions: capable, reliable, ethical, and sincere. Voice quality was evaluated with MOSX, covering intelligibility, naturalness, prosody, and social impression. We also assessed perceived realism, familiarity, and social presence. Interpersonal distance was recorded at 50 Hz as an objective measure. We recruited 30 participants and ensured that their self-rated familiarity with Sheldon exceeded 2 on a 5-point scale. The experimental task was to watch Sheldon's speech under each condition. Each participant first watched the baseline video, followed by 6 distinct Sheldon agent presentations. A Latin square design was employed to counterbalance the presentation order, with the entire experiment lasting approximately 30 to 40 minutes. Now, let's take a look at some actual examples of the experimental stimuli.
Looking out at your fresh young faces, I remember when I too was deciding my academic future as a lowly graduate student.
Looking out at your fresh young faces, I remember when I, too, was deciding my academic future as a lowly graduate student.
Looking out at your fresh young faces, I remember when I too was deciding my academic future as a lowly graduate student.
Of course, I was 14. And I'd already achieved more than most of you could hope to, despite my 9 o'clock bedtime.
Of course, I was 14. And I'd already achieved more than most of you could hope to, despite my 9 o'clock bedtime.
Anyone who told you that you would someday be able to make any significant contribution to physics played a cruel trick on you, a cruel trick indeed.
Anyone who told you that you would someday be able to make any significant contribution to physics played a cruel trick on you, a cruel trick indeed.
Let's move on to the results of our experiment. This table displays all the significant effects found in our study. Next, let's discuss each result in detail. Our first key finding: style drives trust, but voice doesn't. Post hoc tests showed that hand-sculpted was rated significantly more capable than AI reconstructed. However, no significant pairwise differences were observed in reliable, ethical, or sincere. These results align with prior research, effectively extending the known significant impact of visual style on trust into the emerging domain of celebrity agents. For voice quality, no significant main effects of style were found. In contrast, voice had a significant main effect on intelligibility, with the synthesized voice being rated as more intelligible than the cloned voice. We suspect this is because the cloned voice perfectly replicated Sheldon's distinctive accent and speech patterns. Since none of our participants were native English speakers, this authenticity may have reduced clarity. Perceived realism showed the expected pattern. Style had significant main effects on all dimensions except voice. Both the hand-sculpted and AI reconstructed agents were rated as more realistic than the non-stylized agent. For voice, significant main effects were found only on voice realism and overall realism. The cloned voice was rated as more realistic than the synthesized voice. This confirms that our manipulations worked as intended. Participants could indeed distinguish the visual and vocal realism levels. The results of familiarity mirrored realism. Style had significant main effects on all dimensions except voice. The hand-sculpted agent was rated as significantly more familiar than the non-stylized agent. For voice, significant main effects were found on voice familiarity, personality familiarity, and overall familiarity. In these cases, the cloned voice was rated as more familiar than the synthesized voice. For social presence, style had a significant main effect, while voice had no significant effects. Both the hand-sculpted and AI reconstructed agents were rated higher than the non-stylized agent. Visual fidelity is critical for social presence, and voice type matters less when visual quality is high. Hand-sculpted style paired with cloned voice achieved the best match across most measures. However, statistical results revealed that even this best combination remained significantly below the authentic video baseline. Despite the cutting-edge 3D agent, a perceptual gap persists between virtual agents and real video. The only exception was intelligibility, where AI reconstructed paired with synthesized voice matched the baseline, likely due to the accent issue mentioned earlier. The relationship between interpersonal distance and trust levels was not a simple linear one. Participants generally tended to approach the Sheldon agent over the 45-second interaction. Among these conditions, participants approached the hand-sculpted style and the cloned voice most closely, while they maintained the greatest distance from the AI reconstructed style and the synthesized voice. This challenges prior work suggesting distance is a reliable trust indicator, and suggests that in VR, interpersonal distance may be confounded by other factors. To conclude, our study makes 4 key contributions. First, style significantly affected trust, whereas voice did not. Second, post-hoc analysis revealed that trust differences across styles were small, suggesting celebrity agents may follow distinct patterns. Third, the hand-sculpted style paired best with the cloned voice, but still remained significantly below the authentic video representation. Finally, interpersonal distance did not map linearly to trust, warranting further study. In summary, our findings not only offer practical insights on leveraging advanced generative AI to design trustworthy virtual celebrity agents, but also provide critical reflections on the associated trust and ethical implications. Looking ahead, future work should test diverse celebrities and demographics, include non-celebrity controls, and leverage advancing AI techniques and physiological measures to deepen our understanding of trust in virtual agents. Thank you all for your attention and interest in our work. Our paper includes additional details on the stimulus creation and statistical analyses. Please feel free to reach out via email.